So we're gonna do the flag, and are we gonna do the whole
We're gonna
thing?
have to. Because you can't, I mean, it's kind of hard to say the pledge to the flag if it's not here. I didn't move it up. Sorry.
We can do the pumpkin.
You can pledge allegiance to
To
the
the
pumpkin.
board. Or
There is a delay.
We can cross anything out we don't want to say, mix that up.
Yeah, we're gonna have to edit that. Yeah,
It's not language.
All right. Rod, do you see our screen?
Yes, I do.
Okay, good. All right, I think we are ready to start.
all right. All right, I don't know the time.
The time is 6:33.
So we are-
All right, we're calling the meeting to order, 6:33. All right, we'll do roll call. Carol,
Here.
Tom,
Here.
John,
here,
Rob.
Here,
All right, Trish, I'm here. Okay. All right, if we could stand for a moment of silence, I guess, and we'll do the pledge. Are we gonna do the pledge?
There's not, we don't have a pledge.
Well, we're gonna go to the board then. Okay, we're passing on the pledge.
It's kind of hard to pledge allegiance to the flag if it's not there.
I don't think I like a moment of silence, you have to do that.
I was looking at the moment of silence. but-
All righty, I have a motion to consider approving the agenda.
Okay.
Second,
Second.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all right, motion passes. Did everybody get a chance to take a look at the minutes from the October 13th, 22 meeting?
mhm.
Okay, and if so, do I have a motion to consider approving the minutes from October 13th, 2022?
So move.
Motion.
First, second, all right. Motion passes, or all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Works. Okay, so we have, moving on to number 6, we have 3 permits that are up for approval at 7 Old Forest Lane, 12 Mulberry Lane, 3755 School Lane, and these were submitted by Mr. Vanacola. So is there anything that you would like to share about these permits, Rob?
no, not really. I mean, they're all pretty self-explanatory. 2 dead trees and 1 that's in poor condition.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Are they gonna replace the one at 3750,
the maple.
the maple at 3755 School Lane?
Probably not.
And it's not a street tree.
Well, it's not really, well, yeah, no. I mean, I don't know exactly where the lot line is, but it's close. I mean, it's in between the shed and the street. So, I mean,
Yeah, I didn't know where we stood on stuff like that.
But is it in the right of way?
I would imagine so. All the trees are.
It's rotted, doesn't matter when I take down anyway, right? So it's rotted.
So it would be
Yeah, there's
considered
no
a
question
hazard.
it needs to come down.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think.
But there's no replacement requirement for hazard trees, right? Or is there?
Off the top of my head.
Do we need to look? What do I do with the ordinance?
Go down one more page.
It's supposed to be right here.
Oh.
It's supposed to be right here.
We have authority to make them replace it.
It's not in there.
No,
I'm looking for.
that's Aronimink.
So,
I think you could do it with the condition that if there is a requirement, that they would they would meet the requirement.
Okay.
And then we can, I'll have Andy and I will go through it just to review it. We were just looking at this today.
'cause it's a pretty big tree, it was 30.
Right. Mm-mm. But it's a street tree, possibly.
Yeah, I think if it's a street tree, you definitely, if there's a requirement to replace,
We use one of our trees from under inventory.
I think fall is sort of a tough time to try to convince people to replace trees when they've been out all day raking the leaves.
It's right away.
I mean, I think the way to pass it, if you want to, and then you could pass all of them this way, is that if there's a requirement for trees to be replaced, that they just have to meet the requirement for trees to be replaced, and then we'll verify that for the permits issue.
Okay.
And I mean,
So the onus would be on the homeowner?
it's always on the homeowner. You know,
Uh,
I mean, again, if we have trees in our nursery that are available, we're happy to
Provide them.
provide them.
Free tree and just replace the. Replace it.
Terrible.
Yeah, we'll replace it. That's fair.
But he still has to get somebody to plant it.
Well, the tree guy's taking it down.
Oh, that's an idea.
How about the
I didn't hear all that. I hear you talking about,
Just say yes.
What we said, Rob, was that we'll review the ordinance I'll have Andy review the ordinance for sure tomorrow to see if there's a requirement for a tree to be replaced.
yeah, I mean, I'll just let him know. I mean, that's no big deal. I don't think if, it's just put a small tree back there. I don't think he'll have a problem with that. It's just that I think if you deny it and something happens and you denied it, who takes the responsibility
No, I don't think we want to deny it. We just
No.
want to say if there's a condition that a tree has to go back.
Yeah, I mean, but that's on him. That's not on the taking it down part, right?
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Right.
Yeah.
Yep, no, I agree.
Okay, so, do I have a motion to conditionally approve the permits at 7 Old Forest Lane, 12 Mulberry Lane, and 3755 School Lane, contingent upon township's further review as to whether or not a replacement trees are required after a check of the.
I think what I would do,
Is that
I
right?
think I'm gonna have you word it just a little
Little
bit.
bit, little
bit
different.
different. So word it that the removal is approved,
Okay,
period, because if they're dangerous, we want to go ahead and have them
They're
down. We don't
they're
want to.
dead and hazardous.
Right, but if there is a requirement
Mhm.
for, if the ordinance requires tree replacement, that be a part of the permit issue that they have to replace the tree.
Okay,
Because
All
it
right.
didn't sound like the first two were clearly in somebody's backyard or
Yeah, there was no.
side
no-
yard or something.
No, the first two, the 7 Forest Lane, there's plenty of trees in the front yard of the house. There's tons of trees there. And 12 Mulberry, she has a maple tree. It's Carol, it's Roseanne's house, Rosenstock's. She has a big maple tree in the front yard. This is just a spruce tree that's dead. She needs taken down because it's dead. I think she already has a tree in the front yard, so.
Okay.
I mean, the school lane would be only one about a replacement, I think would be in question. Because he has no other trees in the front of his house,
okay. Okay. All right, so let me try this again. Okay, so do I have a motion to approve the removal permit for 7 Old Forest Lane, 12 Mulberry Lane, 3755 School Lane? And the township will review the ordinance to determine whether or not a replacement tree is necessary related to these projects.
Perfect.
I have a first, do I have a second?
Second,
All right, all in favor, say aye, except for Rob because he must abstain. All right, all in
Aye.
favor?
Aye.
All right, passes unanimously minus Rob. Okay, on to new.
Just for the record, I think we did say this, but the reason Rob did not vote or is abstaining is because he is the actual applicant,
Right,
because he's the one taking it.
right. Okay, do I need to amend my permit?
No, you're good. I just wanted to state it for the record, since
Right.
we're recording it, so that
Gotcha.
if somebody's watching it from home,
Right,
they understand what we're doing.
okay. Okay, new business. So 7.1, proposed 2023 meeting schedule for all boards, commissions, and committees.
So that's me. So what we've been doing is looking at boards and commissions, and one of the challenges that we know that's happening is there's not always enough time for the boards, and particularly your committee, to review projects prior to the planning commission when you get a land development plan in. And so what we're recommending, and also Andy's the one that attends these meetings normally, and Andy has to attend the planning commission. So what we're recommending is moving the Shade Tree Commission to the 4th Thursday instead of the 2nd Thursday, and doing it earlier, if that would work. And we would do the meeting probably, I think, based on what time you need, I think an hour and a half is more than enough time for you typically to do your
Mhm.
meeting. And so I would recommend that we would start at 5:30 because they start at 7.
Okay.
But that would be what our thoughts are. And it would do two things. One is that if you want a developer to come in on a particular project, they would be coming into the planning commission anyhow. So they could come to your meeting first and then be there for the second meeting. So if
Okay.
there's something there. And then the second piece of that, obviously, staff wise, that helps staff. We're out one night instead of 2 nights, those kind of things. So that's the idea.
Makes sense.
There's no action for you to take there. I'm just getting feedback to make sure everybody's okay with that. Just knowing that, because the board will make that decision in January and say, here's the meeting schedules. Okay,
Efficient, makes sense.
It works for me because Thursdays are like the best night for me because usually I could be down in DC depending on
Yeah.
on Tuesdays and Wednesdays is usually when I'm down there, so. As long as it's a Thursday, that's fine, and I'm off at 5, so that works for me. Work for you?
Yeah, yeah, it's fine. I'm looking at my calendar. Oh, yeah.
New retired.
Anytime works out.
That's good.
Not till January.
Not till
Sounds
January.
fun. Sounds good.
Okay, good. So I'll let the board know that for this committee, that works pretty well. Rob, does that work for you?
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, as long as I know a month in advance, I can always schedule around it, so that's not a problem.
Yeah, you'll know, because I mean, in January will be the quickest, but I'll know pretty much by the beginning of December what they're gonna do in January.
Yeah, I mean, now until obviously daylight savings is again, and it starts getting lighter. And now that it gets dark at 4:30, I'm pretty much freed up after 4:30, you know?
It's kind of hard to take trees down in the dark, isn't it?
And you can't give estimates, you know what I mean? So it's, yeah.
Perfect. All right,
All
that
right,
was easy. While I'm have the floor, I met with the solicitor today.
oh,
Talking about something else, but we brought up the shade tree ordinance. And so what he is going to do, he and I talked, and there's a lot of the shade tree ordinance is cumbersome at best.
Mhm.
And so he's actually going to take a swipe at it a whole new way. And he's actually going to present to you basically a condensed version of the shade tree ordinance, taking out some things that he thinks may be confusing, and also some things that we probably have very little authority over. So the 104 section is going to be pulled out and will actually be held under subdivision and development, and it will say that they have to come to you for the parts related to trees, but it won't be in the shade tree ordinance itself. So that'll help kind of clear up that piece a little bit. He's going to clear up the replacement tree piece. He says he's going to use, he thinks he's going to do, if we're going to look at it and see if it makes sense, and we think it'll work. He's going to use 15 feet from the edge of the road as the measurement for people to use, that if the canopy of the tree and or obviously the trunk and or the canopy of the tree is within that 15 feet, then they have to apply for, they have to come in and request a permit or do a permit for that. And then the application for a permit, and then it will go out and review it, determine if it requires that, and then we'll take the steps accordingly for the permit issue. And so that way, it's just, I think it'll be a little bit clearer, a little bit easier to kind of talk about what the process is with people. And then the other thing that he's talking about is the heritage tree piece seems to always be a kind of an issue. And I think we're going to move the heritage tree piece under the historic commission with the idea that they'll be required to come before you for that as the same thing. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. He and I have some further talk, because we're not sure that the overarching ordinance that gives you authority to determine that a heritage tree that's not a street tree is under your authority. But we can probably do it through the historic side, because we have a historic overlay that is actually an overlay over the whole township if it exists, and then the definition. So that's how we're looking at it. So you're probably going to find that the confusion will be is we'll have to look at 3 different places in the code to determine it. But we'll reference it going to that section of the code
in every code.
in the code for you to know where to go to.
Okay.
But I think it will clean up the ordinance and make it, we think we can shrink it from multiple pages down to something that's pretty condensed and short, and says, here's what you do. Here's what your authority is, and clear. So just know he's been freed up. He's going to work on that. I suspect it will be in the new year.
Okay.
You know, I don't think he'll have it done in December, but I think we'll see it in the year.
It's
Okay.
Steve.
Yes.
On when he does that, about, you said 15 feet, right? You said 15 feet off the edge of the roadway?
Yes.
see if he can put in there a tree that has, is or has the potential to grow into the right of way, if that could be
Okay.
included. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
that's kind of way Springfield does it, because you can have an oak tree that's planted, 16 feet off the edge of the road, and then they have no jurisdiction, but it overgrows the right of way. You know what I'm
Gotcha.
saying? So you could
Yep,
have an
yep.
oak tree that's, 30 feet off the back that has a 50-foot crown that, you know what I'm saying?
Yep,
That it covers that tree. It doesn't give you more than what the right of way is, but it kind of does.
yeah, gotcha.
But
Yeah.
the canopy's in the right of way, it's considered
Yeah, we're counting the canopy.
canopy.
Yeah.
Right, so if it's 30 feet out, but the canopy's in the right of way, then it's the right
It
of way
would be 100% covered
because it's in.
because
canopy.
because the canopy's in the right of way.
Or
But I think what Rob's saying is if, let's say the tree is relatively new, planted, it's 16 feet, but the canopy hasn't quite, quite gotten there. But that potential's there, should it be included?
Right.
And he's saying yes.
Yeah.
And so I'll talk to Rich and see if we can do that.
That makes sense. But coverage just about every tree 16 feet.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Well, that's good news. Thank you.
Yep.
I was gonna ask, of course.
I just thought I'd preempt the ask. I'd jump on top of it.
All right. Are we ready to move on? Do you have anything else to share?
That's all. Well, I've got lots to share, but not all, but you probably don't care about the rest of it, so.
Okay.
Can I ask
Sure.
one other thing? The only permits we've approved so far are from Ron. But there's a bunch of other tree guys working in the, how do we get the work? And I'm sure they're not deliberately breaking the,
To read my objectives, did anybody?
where's it say that?
No. Arbor Day, well, increase public awareness of the value and of the shade tree ordinance. So this is one of the, how. do we
Oh,
do that?
okay.
So I think there's two things, and one of the things I think is with the hope of a rewrite is to make it more simple so that a resident can look at it and say, yes,
Mhm.
this makes sense. I understand what I'm supposed to do. And then I think we can take and really do a full thing together on it.
Yeah, I agree. And that's part of the reason why we haven't really taken too much of an initiative to really reach out to all the different companies
guys,
that do
yeah.
it. Because the ordinance is sort of messed up and we didn't want that confusion. So we didn't want to overshare an ordinance that we knew that was under revision. We were going to wait until
Makes
it was
sense.
tidied up
Yeah.
so that there would be less confusion. At least that was the plan, right?
Yeah.
All right. All right, let's move on to 17.2, discussion and possible action on Aronimink Land Development Application. Okay. Everybody take a look at it.
I was, well, on John for that one. I was back.
I
Right,
mean, he basically said it was okey doke. I mean, so if I'm reading those plans correctly, they're looking to remove a pool and then rebuild, or is that?
Yeah,
what
they're gonna take the pool where it is now, move it to a different location. My understanding, I haven't looked at the whole plan. My understanding is there's no trees that are coming down, but they're going to add trees as part of their planting back.
Oh, okay, all right, because that was my confusion. I'm like, wait a minute, everything says 0, so I
Yeah.
wasn't sure what we were looking at.
Yeah, my understanding is there's actually 0 trees that are gonna come down.
Okay,
But I do think they're planting a couple. I mean, obviously, right, they don't want to plant trees right next to a pool. You don't want the leaves in the pool. Those kind of things.
why
So,
not? That's so much fun.
yeah, exactly. So, there's probably a bigger issue, to be honest with you, with the stormwater. And so the EAC is going to be more active in that. But I'm not even sure how much how much John has had to look at all of this, because I think it came in like right before he was leaving. So
Right.
we sent it to him, but I don't think he had a chance to do a full review. He'll do that, and then we'll have that for the planning commission, but we've looked at it quickly. I don't think there's a heavy lift on your all's end.
Yeah, I didn't see any issue. You know, I'm just finding it curious that they're converting so many of their tennis courts to pickleball.
Pickleball is hot.
Oh my gosh, I can't stand it.
My wife is out there 2-3 days a week playing pickleball.
Yeah, it's funny. So, okay, and so there's really, and are they, so again, that's sort of like the same thing over where the pickleball's gonna go, there's no trees being taken down.
That's my understanding is that it's,
Tell either, that's what I was.
I
looking
think they're
through it.
trying to use the space that's there, that they've already had cleared.
An impervious
and-
surface.
and there is an increase in impervious surface, and there is a section where they're disturbing, doing some replacement of sod. That there's a fairly large, putback of that the EAC has some concerns about, like, could it be done a little bit differently, a little bit more stormwater friendly? You know, particularly since it's on a slope, they'd like to see something that would collect water versus something that's shedding water. So that's what I understand about the project. I haven't, to be honest with you, I haven't spent I haven't spent a lot of time looking at it. Did a quick overview. When, okay, here's what- yeah.
Look, yeah, so for us then. I mean, I really don't see that there's much for us to consider. We're gonna wait on unless John has something. Right else, so would the motion be
I think the motion would be
recommended?
to recommend with the arborist letter, whatever that date
Contingent
will
on.
be.
We don't need to approve the trees they are gonna put in.
Cause they have to follow what our
They're
tree
gonna,
list.
they're gonna follow the
Right,
tree
right.
list, so,
Okay, then not a problem.
I mean, you might put it conditional on them following the
Following the
trees on the
tree
tree list.
Yeah, let's say that.
Well, that's what's in following the ordinance.
Well, isn't there with a new building plan, Steve, an automatic, no matter you're taking down trees or not, isn't there, you have to have a landscape plan no matter what?
Yes,
No matter,
If
even
you
if you're
have
not
that.
taking down trees? Yeah. I mean, does that fall under us or just planning?
yeah, that's the thing that I was mentioning before with the ordinance, that we're gonna try to be a little bit more specific about how that works, but that's in
Yeah.
chapter 104. And so we'll go back, update 104. Give specific that they need to come to you for the landscaping piece and what that looks like,
Right.
okay?
Yep.
All right. Okay, so, do I have a motion to recommend, so recommend that the board approve?
You're just recommending approval of the
Okay, recommending
application.
approval, okay, recommending approval of the Aronimink Land Development application contingent upon the arborist review and compliance with the shade tree ordinance. Okay, we
Yes.
got one, a second?
Second,
All right, okay, it's a tie, all right, all in favor?
I,
Aye.
All right, motion passes unanimously. You don't. All right, well, that was easy. Okay. Moving on to old business, okay. So 8.1, discussion and possible action on 2023 goal. And so just as a reminder, last meeting, Steve asked that we come up with some goals for 2023 and we make them SMART, meaning that they're specific, measurable, achievable. Please forget what the R stands for. Remember? Not repeatable, not
You just caught me off guard. Specific, measurable, achievable, realistic.
realistic and time bound. Okay, So that's what I tried to do while watching the Phillies game. So, so I came up with 3 of them because, and I was following what the objectives are and what the purposes of our role is, and based on what Steven suggested. And so I think one of our number 1 goals is to increase public awareness and value of our urban forests, and that the shade tree ordinance actually exists. And so came up with a couple of objectives, 3 objectives under that goal. So, well, first, how does that goal sound to you guys? Does that sound all right?
Yeah, follow it.
Okay. And then, so objective 1 is, for one thing, we have to do Arbor Day because that falls under us. Part of our outreach is writing articles for the various newsletters. And we have been requested to write and submit social media content and provide that to township staff twice a month. So I figured that was sort of, it met the SMART requirements. But the one thing that's lacking is kind of, we really need somebody to take point and leadership on some of these, and certainly some of it, like writing the articles, can certainly rotate. But maybe it might be best for one person to take on the social media thing. I'm fine with taking point on Arbor Day. I did it last year, and I think that what we're looking to do is maybe collaborate with the EAC, since Earth Day is very close to Arbor Day. And you know, usually at those events we plant trees and at whatever park. So we can either figure that out and kind of nail down those specifics later. But I think more importantly, we kind of need volunteers to take point on objectives 2 and 3 if I take objective 1, unless someone feels like they want to do it.
It's not my strong point.
Well, are we going to a different park for this Arbor Day, or, I mean, I don't know what I don't know what happened to the 3 trees that we did plant.
Well, they're still there.
They're still there, but are they with us?
Yes. Yeah, I drove by them actually, and they looked okay.
Oh,
I
they
mean,
did?
yeah,
Okay.
I mean, earlier in the summer, yeah.
Yeah.
It was tough, but I think we had them.
You
I think they
they pulled,
survived.
I think
Yeah.
they pulled through,
Yeah.
because they didn't look too great when I saw them.
Yeah, they're-
But
Mhm.
I was, I don't know whether, I mean, we don't even know which parks, which town, what
But
the
that's okay.
township parks are. But I was wondering, in this particular area where we planted those 3 trees, are there any other trees that are needed? I mean, can we
So-
work?
So here's what I would like to think that you would help us with in this. There are certain areas in our parks, not all of our parks, actually, interestingly enough, those 3 trees are planted outside of the MS4 area. And so, and it's fine, we don't have to plant every tree in the MS4 area. However, we have a 1,000 tree requirement in the MS4 area. So obviously the trees that we can plant in the MS4 area make the most sense. We could plant at the same park and plant further down near the water area and be in the MS4 area. So it doesn't have to be necessarily up there at the same park if you want to do Drexel Lodge. But there's also other areas within the township that we can look at, you know, Goshen Road, even though it's not all township property, and but we have a very long-term easement. And I think we're looking at getting a 50-year easement there. So any tree that would be planted there, that would be a positive thing, you know, and have a long thing. We've taken out a ton of ash trees along Goshen Road. So, you know, I think if we went back and planted, I forget the number that we've taken out, but I think it's close to 70 trees along that area that we've had to take out for ash trees. I mean, if we could come back and plant 50 to 100 trees there, that would help reforest.
We did plant
We planted some,
in conjunction with some kids.
Yeah.
Was it Boy Scout troop? or-
yes.
Yeah,
But I'm just saying, there's still a pretty big opportunity there.
yeah,
Pico's getting ready to take down another 17 trees that you all approved at your last meeting. So, I mean, it's an area that's been incredibly heavily hit. And understandably, but it's.
Well, is that within the MS4 area?
That actually isn't within the MS4 area.
Okay.
So, but I have that as goal 3.
Well, but yes, but you can make the, like, if you wanted to take Arbor Day
Right.
and have a goal, I mean, Arbor Day could be one of two ways. You could have a focus on making sure people understand the importance of street trees. And you could go out and you could pick an area and do street trees, pick a neighborhood and say, we want to plant 20 trees in this neighborhood. You know, I mean, I'll pick an area for you right now and say along Ashley, and I forget what it turns into. That's when it goes around the corner, but it changes names. It's not Brookside, it's whatever it is. But in that area, that's an area where we know that there's not a lot of street trees, and we think it would make a big difference.
These are trees we can take from our inventory, right?
Excuse me, Beechwood, that's what I'm doing.
We can take these trees from.
And
Oh,
Steve-
absolutely. Take the trees from the inventory.
And then,
what would we ask the home?
Oh, you have to ask I mean, like, you can't just go plant a bunch of trees, but
Yeah.
it would be a project, I could see doing it as an educational slash, you know, pick an area like that and say, we're gonna try to tackle this, and go, you know, really kind of have a neighborhood kind of focus.
Uh-huh.
Put a lot of effort into educating the importance of what street trees do. And then say, we're prepared to provide the trees and come in and help plant on this day. And, you know, we'll put them in the right of ways. We'll go ahead and have all the utilities marked out, all of those kind of things, and have a day where we go do that.
Who,
who's we?
We being working with you as the Shade Tree Commission, and then the township would be helping.
So,
Oh,
all right, so
they-
all of it up then.
they would contact the gas and electric.
Yeah, we would do PA1 calls, you know, and do all of that and have that happen.
And
So-
Steve,
Yes,
I think you said they all had to be natives, right? They couldn't be anything. I think that's what we spoke about last meeting, after the
yeah,
meeting or whatever.
the natives.
Which is fine, we have them in our inventory. So we just want to identify the process. We as a group go educate the neighborhood. We're gonna plant 40 trees on this day, mark it. Utilities will mark, we'll flag where they're gonna go. And we're gonna make it happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think that to be, you know, be clear that in the process, I don't think we can just go and plant a tree in front of somebody's house.
That would be the education process.
That'd be the education process. And our goal might be to plant 40 trees, let's say.
So we,
But you may have 29 people that say yes. And so you could do 29 of the 40, but you know.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
there's some that say I hate trees because they have leaves.
Yeah,
so we as a group, go out, identify the neighborhood. Knock on the doors, educate them, flag.
and it could be, you know, it could be initial. We could send a letter up front. We could, you know, I mean, like,
Not knocking on doors.
you know, and it could be following up. I mean, I think
Your
it's.
vote.
I think it's gonna take both. I think, to be honest with you, I think it's gonna take an initial introduction to the program. You know, I think if you did it in that particular neighborhood, I think there's a particular person who would probably get very involved and want to help you do that, because she lives in the neighborhood and she sees that as important. And, you know, that might be the best,
Yeah,
you know, that
that would
might
be even better.
you know,
Right, so-
that's what I would look for. I would look on the list of people that live in there and say, is there anybody you know? And then start having the conversations to say, I'd like to enlist you to be like a block supporter or whatever you want to call them, and you know,
It's a liaison.
like a liaison, but also, you know, who would be a champion for what you want to do.
This is Beechwood.
Beechwood and Ashley is an area that I'm looking at. And it doesn't have to be there. you can pick another area. There's lots of areas you could pick.
It's a start.
But it's,
Start there.
it's an area that when you drive around that area, you go, there's just no shade trees in the front yards, or there's very few. And so it's an opportunity to pick an area where it's pretty bland and say, hey, we're willing to come help do this.
Right.
Right.
And there's been all kinds of studies that prove that shade, having trees in your front yard increases the value of the property.
And I would, and I would have that. I would have places that you're quoting those kind of things. And it's an educational process.
Well, one of the problems with that is we have 0 handouts that we can give to anybody. On anything.
Well, that's what we're gonna do as a board. We'll get them together.
Well, so we
Right.
can't do so we need people to take leads on this because all of this takes work.
Sure.
It takes drafting the letters, it's getting everything to the township so that it can be sent. It takes outreach and coordination. You need one person needs to be there to coordinate that effort. It can't fall all to, expect me to do that. So I need help. I've taken point on a lot of these things, but we all need to pitch in order to make this work. And because there is a lot of work that goes in behind the scenes to make that happen, like what had to be done, even though the bulk of what was happened with last Arbor Day was really super easy because we rode totally on the coattails of Pico. To hold these kind of events does take time, it takes coordination, it takes organization, and it takes writing up stuff. And it can't just fall to the same people all the time. So
And I think we have to do a park again this year. I don't think we're ready to go attack a neighborhood.
well, for Arbor Day, we can. So the 3 objectives that I have is increase public awareness and value of our urban forests and of the shade tree ordinance. The second thing is conduct the inventory. And the third thing is seek opportunities to increase the number of trees and shade trees within the township and support the MS4 riparian tree planting goals. And then under objective 1 on C is where I had that section on doing the doing the public tree or the shade trees, street trees within the neighborhoods that you talked about, and even on Fox Run, Goshen Road, and then if we're gonna add these other ones, that's great too. I don't mind taking on those things, but like Carol pointed out, we need to have Q&As, we need to have, and we've been reluctant to write up a lot of the informational materials because we don't have an ordinance that's approved, that's in good shape. So we've been reluctant to do that. So
We don't
to
have a
me,
backup yet to.
right, so for me, a lot of our outreach is hinging on getting our ordinance right.
But can I just say,
Mhm.
we're focusing on 2023 goals here. Our
Right.
township manager just suggested this is what he would like to see done.
Yes,
The Beechwood and Ashley area. Let's focus on that and get it done. Don't worry about the ordinance. Don't worry about the parks yet. Let's just focus on the neighborhood.
Parks are easier than, a
Yeah,
park
but
is
this
easier.
is- this is-
Well, I mean, look, I threw it out as an
But
idea.
And once we get the ordinance done, then maybe we'd be able to,
Why does ordinance- why? We're looking to plant
it's
shade
the
trees.
background, it's the Bible, it's what everything else
The
is
average
based
homeowner
on.
care. They don't care. We're here to plant trees in your neighborhood.
But we do need handouts
But that's
when
something we
we
can
go
make up
door to door.
fairly easily, couldn't we?
Yeah, I mean, we
mean,
got
hard
that
as that-
one thing that shows
It's a
you
one-page leaflet. Here's
how to
it's
plant
not,
a tree.
you gotta do it right. And
Yeah.
it has to be worded in a way that's easily understood, that is, it's not as easy as it
It has to
thinks.
be factual.
So,
Yeah.
so from a business standpoint, whatever we do, we have done that. It's clear, it's concise, and in as few words as possible, because if it's long, it goes right in trash.
Right.
Right, nobody's gonna take it. We want to beautify your street with shade trees at no cost to you. This is the benefits. That's it. And then we're gonna come around knocking on doors. Is it
Oh,
okay?
who
I
fills
think
the
you
gator
should come up with
bags?
one of
Is
those
it-
things to look
I know.
at.
Is that the homeowner?
And I'm saying,
Okay, good, we got a volunteer. I heard a volunteer. Okay.
The gator bags?
Yes.
You know, for the water. Whose responsibility or
Be the homeowners.
it'd be the homeowner or us? Or the township?
So we had talked at one point potentially of, as we did some of these projects, that we may try to provide them. But I personally believe that ultimately it falls on the homeowner to do the watering. We don't want, I mean, the township is not gonna go by and water trees every day that needs to be there. And talking to John Hosbach, his recommendation would be, if it's a tree in front of a homeowner's home, we would prefer they not do a gator bag, that they actually water it
Once a week.
with the hose, probably twice a week, but that they would do it with the hose. It would probably get more water
That way,
that way than getting it just,
yeah.
you know, because people will, look, I gotta tell you, you fill a gator bag and people forget. And I mean, I've gone out and checked some of our gator bags and said, we gotta get on top of it again, they're empty, you know, and that's a problem.
But
Where-
I think with my old people,
Yeah.
they don't know. And we're in the business. I mean, you were expecting a homeowner to go out there and remember the water tree. 5 seconds, I water it, walk away. That's what my own people do.
Yeah.
If you just water with the hose, it runs off or it
And
evaporates.
that's.
The
you
thing
need a
with the
gator bag.
gator bag, you got
Yeah,
20
fill it and
gallons.
walk away.
You've
Yeah.
got 20 gallons and it's seeping directly into the ground.
I
It's not
100% agree with
evaporating.
gator bag.
It's
Fill
better with the gator
bags,
bag.
Because I can't get my own people to do it. You know, thousands of dollars of material. Oh, I work, you go back and check the cameras, it's 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You put your finger in the ground, an inch in,
It's
it's dry.
dry, yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
and
or
I
they
can't
pour a
expect
bucket, or
homeowner-
they fill a bucket and take it out.
Yeah, and
pour
it all falls down to the side, you know, it's.
Goes down the
they-
street.
I mean, look, we're not saying no to that. We've said, we've talked about it, that, you know, we would look at potentially providing them to get started. You know, and, you know, we can look at that. I don't know what they cost, but, you know,
And
We
we
got-
Depends on how many you
We're
get,
gonna
like
provide a gator bag. for you.
$15 to
And
$20 a
we'll make a
piece.
gator bag.
Gator
You know,
bags
I mean, they're gonna need follow-up care.
$20 a piece.
Well, that's just what I saw on Google.
Ooh, you could get them much cheaper than.
Oh, if you buy bulk, yeah. Depends on where you're going.
I'm just saying, look, we'll work with you on whatever the project is that you want to try to accomplish. I threw it out as a possibility. Mostly because when we talked about it, if you're trying to accomplish an MS4 project, it might be nice to be able to do both. You know, if you have your Arbor Day and your MS4 project kind of combined, it might help you in a year that you're trying to get things started.
Can I say one other? Those 2 goals are enough. We meet once a month. We talk about 10 other things and nothing gets done. Focus on one thing, finish it, and then get the ball rolling.
So we could throughout the year, if each one, and it's not just we're doing these things just once a month during our meetings. It's just the back work that needs to get done to do that. So if we divide and conquer on these
That's
things,
fair.
then we will be able to accomplish it. And honestly, having 3 goals, I don't think is too much.
That's plenty. At the rate we move, that's plenty.
Yeah,
Well, the problem, why do we move so slow?
We meet once a month and we talk about a dozen different things and nothing happens.
Well,
Me
wait a minute, hold on, let's go back to that. These things have nothing to do with us meeting once a month. These objectives are things that have to be done throughout the year.
yeah, I think what he's saying is, and I sort of agree. Maybe we should pick one. I mean, just putting trees on these 2 streets or on one of somewhere else. I mean, we got to write up instructions to the homeowner. We got to do kind of a cover
That's something
letter.
we would all take, or everybody take a piece of it and then set a date and do it.
Somebody needs to take ownership of it and take
Yes.
lead on it. And that to me seems to be one of the things that we've lacked in this. It's just, there hasn't been a lot of equality with
So-
spreading all of that work amongst the
So
committee.
we just had a software training session 2 weeks ago
Mhm.
and there was no Wi-Fi. So it's like oversight, okay. So now we need to reschedule it. But it's weeks and I mean, man, I can't work like this, driving me crazy. I get things done, we just finish, we do them, we're doers.
Then do. Then you pick whatever it is on this list. This is what I'm asking, is if each one of us picked one of these to take lead on and make it happen, we could get a lot accomplished. I'm a doer too. I'm gonna get this, I mean, Arbor Day is gonna be done in April. That doesn't mean I'm not gonna do anything else. I just finished my part of it. I'm done for the year. I don't mind picking up some of this other stuff too, but we all have to share in taking lead on these projects if we're gonna get them done.
Fall's a good time to plan. Let's pick a park, since you think that's easy.
Because you don't have to go to homeowners and
Let's get our
get
feet
their
wet
grief.
by picking the park. Go there, identify how many trees we want to plant. Submit it to you guys will plant them, we all go and plant them.
Well, I mean, I think we would look for assistance planning. I mean,
Yes.
I would need to have people come out. We probably would ask for volunteers to come out. That's what we've done in the past.
We could coordinate with
Let's pick a
EAC.
park right now and meet. Okay, next.
Yeah.
What other parks?
I have no idea.
Neither do I.
So I'll take.
You pick a park.
Let me go.
I mean, we can get a Boy Scout troop to help dig the holes. I love that stuff.
You know, I could dig them with a spoon.
I'm gonna walk us around our parks in the township, just so that everybody kind of knows where they are and.
They're print.
Huh?
It's a print.
Sure, if you go to our website, they're right on our website.
It's not.
Show us on our website where they are. I have looked.
Those are the green things, right?
They are.
That was on Google though. I mean, that was Google Maps.
That was,
Also, gotta put the right.
those were townships or something. It was something, shopping centers or something.
No, they were actually the parks, the green.
Oh.
Yeah, the green pieces.
Mhm.
If you come right.
Township maps.
The
first thing
That's
under-
one of them. Come down. I think Township map. I think this one has it. So this is one of our parks. This is the Meadow Preserve
In Listener,
in up above Listener.
that's the back trail up against this. I don't know, we walk that all the time.
Yep. And then over here is Drexel Lodge,
And that's, yeah.
right?
We
You know,
heard that
where
one.
Drexel Lodge is. That's where
We
we
know where
were.
that one is,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then, huh?
Can you print that right
Oh, no, it's okay.
I don't, let me find out, because it's a color. I can't print color.
They don't trust you.
No, they don't trust me. We have a few people who can print color, and so I'm not one of them.
I thought the township was bigger than that.
The township's actually pretty small. It's 10 square miles, but
Wow.
it's, so this is Greer Park. And this is over right off of Winding Way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Goose.
now? Park.
And then over here's Brookside. That's where we did the other tree planting.
Oh,
This,
okay.
this,
Over for Bryn Mawr Avenue.
over on Bryn Mawr Avenue.
Uh-huh.
Down here in this very corner, this is probably the one you don't know very much about, is Newbie Park. That's a really small park as well, but it's actually.
Can I get a picture?
Sure, I'll try to print it as well,
If
but
you
I don't
could,
know
that
that
would be
one out of
great.
color.
But in the meantime.
Maybe we should adopt Newbury Park.
The challenge with Newbie Park is it's actually already probably our most wooded park.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's very steep slopes
Oh,
and it's already got a fair amount of trees. It could use more, but it's
What's the troop field?
so
You got
Troop
the-
Field, that's where the
big one.
girls softball is.
Oh, okay. No, the one off of-
It's Newtown Square, what do they go by? Petticoat League?
Oh, yeah, off of Greenville Road, right?
No, it's Bishop Hollow. right
Bishop
up here.
Hollow, yeah,
Straight
that's,
down the
yeah,
street.
right, the street.
And then they had this listed, but this is the Veterans Memorial. But that's our parks, basically. We also have a spot right here. Is this Sawmill? Yeah. We also have a park right here.
Yes. That's not park yet. though.
It's not yet.
It's gotta be.
It's gonna be. We're actually working on it. right
Sure you don't want to put the firehouse in?
now. I am sure I don't want to put the firehouse in. Actually, still think it would have been a good location, but, I'm not.
None of us neighbors were thrilled with it.
The neighborhood didn't think so. But that's your parks. I mean, that's it really quickly in a nutshell.
Perfect.
So
Let's pick one.
you know. This park here, down here, this is Crassus Field, this is where the soccer field is. That's another hard one. You're not gonna be able to do a lot there because obviously most of the trees, they don't want on the middle of the field, right? It's a soccer field. You know, kind of like the baseball fields here. We can go around and plant, but you can't really plant right on. But, you know, and what we didn't talk about, like along the Goshen Trail here, you know, that's not necessarily township property, but we have very long-term leases on it.
So Newtown Meadow Preserve is the one I'm most familiar with.
Yeah,
Large piece of land.
yeah,
There's trails cut into this building.
yeah.
Where are we planting trees? Because the rest is like wild growth.
Yeah, I think that we would have to look at the plans. There's a master plan for the park. And again. if
Don't
you-
all of them have a master plan? And
Somebody
do
went,
we-
into that park this last week or week before with brush hog.
Mhm.
And so there is, and really cleaned it out.
Yeah, we wanted them to.
Yeah.
So who did that?
Episcopal Academy did.
They did.
Well, they asked to do it and we said yes.
Go ahead, Trish.
So, I think I think it would be premature for us to just willy-nilly pick a park without first coordinating with Parks and Rec.
But if you picked a park, let's say you wanted to pick a park that you wanted to
Of
focus
pickled
on.
peppers.
Pick a park, pick a park with pickled peppers.
Sorry.
But anyway, if you picked a park, and I'm gonna pick one for you.
Okay,
I'm gonna pick Greer Park. And I'm gonna pick Greer Park only because it's one that we wanna do a project on anyhow this year.
Goose Poop Park.
Goose
Got
Poop
it.
Park,
Got
but I don't know that we're ready to go plant today. I mean, it may be next year before we're ready to plant, but we wanna do a full stream restoration in there.
So I'm not doing anything.
That's-
But I wanna wait till the stream restoration's done before we plant. But there would be a lot of opportunity to come in and plant tons in that area to stabilize these stream
Are they
banks.
gonna rechannelize the,
We're gonna take the pond, most of the pond is gonna be removed. And then the stream will be taken back to what it's supposedly was its original path. And then obviously we have to stabilize all that stream bank. And a great opportunity to plant lots of trees.
Well, why is that happening? Why throw all that money into that?
Why? Well, here's what I would say. There's a couple things. One is, the very reason why you call it what it is.
Yeah.
Makes it a very unusable park.
Absolutely.
Because most people get down there and they don't want to walk down there because of all the goose issues. The geese will actually try to run you off. And so we want to make it so that it's a park where people can go and use it and walk and enjoy and all of those kind of things. And, you know, it's not a bad park, but I think it needs attention. It doesn't have good playgrounds. It doesn't have good seating areas. It doesn't, you know, I would say this. Our township mission statement is to be the preeminent township. Our parks don't make us preeminent township.
From my understanding, it's not a lot of families.
Yeah, and so I want to make. We don't have a lot of parks, but the parks we do have should all be really good quality. That's the Parks and Recs focus. But in that process, we think there needs to be trees in those parks as part of that deal.
Agreed. Agreed, and I get it, that we used to practice like football there. You can't even walk around.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. Yeah.
Okay, I get it. So if we pick a park.
Greer Park?
We can't do Greer, we can't touch it until the stream.
Oh.
We could do Newtown Meadow Preserve, because that's wide open. Plenty of places to plant trees.
but we also want to try, if we're gonna do this and we're gonna do it in a park, we want to do it in a park where it's gonna pull double duty and count towards the MS score.
Does that count towards MS?
I will go pull that map.
Because we got 1,000 trees to plant in 5 years.
Yeah.
That's a lot of trees.
Well, we, as our committee does not, the township does. Yes, but that's not fully on our,
Now it's working.
I'm glad you have the same results.
So. I don't know if the map is right here or not, but no, that's just a lot of.
To add MS format. Search.
So where is?
Give me a second.
Okay.
Now I can't see it. The problem is I'm too far away from the. Actually, I don't even have to do that. Duh. Rob, I'll try to do it so you can see it.
I can see it.
This is the MS format.
Oh, wow.
So anywhere where it's green are places that we would want to plant trees. Interestingly enough, the meadow preserve is not, but.
That's what I figured, because it's a meadow.
Yeah.
That's why.
Hence the term
Hey,
meadow.
my street is.
So,
Oh my God.
and it has to do where the flow of water comes from the township. That's what it's all about, is where the water's flowing. And so that's the reason why certain areas are really heavy.
Actually, Lewis Run, which partially goes through the meadow, actually runs most of the year. I mean,
Yes.
it actually flows.
Oh, it is, yeah, absolutely does.
Yeah.
But that gets us back into, we had to start knocking on doors and outreach and all that. We just can't start planting trees in neighborhoods.
Well, no, but I mean, so when you start looking, I mean, obviously over here, this is Newbie Park. I mean, that's,
You said that's one that's already heavily.
but it's more heavily wooded, but there, I mean, it could do more on, it helps stabilize the steep slopes. So we could do some stuff there if you're looking for a quick project.
Where's Greer Park?
I want to.
Greer Park is this area right here.
Tron.
This is Brookside.
Uh-huh.
What was the other, Drexel Lodge?
What's down?
Oh, I'm sorry, that's not Drexel Lodge. Drexel Lodge is up here. Go ahead, what's the question?
252 Westchester. Because we were only at the top of the hill on Drexel Lodge. I don't know what's down at the bottom of the hill.
It would have to be this spot right in here.
Yeah, right there at that Preston Run.
So
Yeah, okay.
let's pick a park tonight. Let's meet there. And come on, get some trees planted. Get the ball rolling. It's a great time to plant trees. Remember, we have now to the end, the ground freezes.
I thought we were trying to find something for Arbor Day.
But that's not till April.
It's April.
Right, so,
That's true.
well, again, so,
Let's pick a park.
all right,
Let's pick a park.
so look, which of the objectives are you wanting this to? And, or which of these do you want it to pertain to? Do you wanna stick with C? And which is seek opportunities to increase the number of street trees within the township and support the MS4? Because that's what it sounds like you wanna do, and it doesn't have to be, we can amend this. Again, I just put this in as a draft. And honestly, I was hoping that you guys would have provided some input so that we could, you know, this is the kind of feedback I was looking for. If you don't wanna do more than. These are just, honestly, we could achieve all this in 1 year. If one person would pick up and agree to take point, if we divvied up this workload, we could all do it, but that would mean that everyone would have to pick an objective to take as an ownership on. And we can't expect just one or two people to continue to just, carry the water here. So that's my concern. I think we can
So
do all
goal
of
C,
these. Mhm.
right? That's basically what I was just
Right.
proposing,
But
is goal
this is,
C.
but this is objective one, right here. Beginning in January, somebody will work with the township to reach out to either we can do the residents or we can amend this to say we're gonna plant it in a park. I don't care, whichever way we want to amend that. And, but I put this in because I was hearing from Steve, that's what he wanted for next year, is for us to kind of work on some of these streets that don't have shade or don't have street trees.
Understood. So what I'm thinking is that we would go ahead and start at a park before the end of this year to get started, and then to start working on all this, to hit this, start hitting neighborhoods, because that's gonna require more effort.
Right, and so we're gonna need to do the residents, we're gonna need to write up, we're gonna need to write a letter.
Right,
Okay, we're gonna need to write a letter, we're gonna need outreach materials, we're gonna need outreach materials either if we're gonna do shade tree, or if we're gonna do Arbor Day, or whatever kind of outreach that we get sucked into having to do, like if we do the
Farmers market.
farmers market and stuff like
Okay.
that, and we're gonna have to do these things.
We're gonna write a letter. What is
So
the
this is
letter
gonna
gonna say?
be to-
What's it about? To the residents?
You say, hi, you.
we're the shade tree commission.
Right,
and we'd like
this
to-
is our objectives, this is what and we
Well, don't
noticed
say
that
it's our
your street.
objective, just say we'd love to plant a tree in front of your house.
Exactly, do you want to, or whatever, however.
Right,
I don't
and
care.
here's a
Somebody
list-
write the letter then,
and
because I'm
here's
gonna
the,
write it all governmenty, so, just because
and
that's
here's
how
the
I
list
write.
of 6 trees, pick one.
Yeah, well, yeah, basically, yeah, and, but they would have to have, but the part of this is that they would need to, you have to write it in a way that's gonna make them want to take care of the tree and adopt it and care for it. And so is there a way that we can be creative in that in order to entice the residents to really take ownership? And I like the idea of having that street, or having the champion that will be our liaison with the community and help generate that enthusiasm, because we're not gonna get anywhere if we don't get the residents jazzed up about it and
That's
wanna
true.
do it.
So we really need somebody that goes around once a week and make sure there's water in the gator bags.
Right, so there should, right, so, and that would be one of us too, so whoever is the lead on that project would then also commit to doing something like that. It can't be just the same few people that. have been
Well,
doing
that
it.
sounds perfect for Carol.
Carol, Writes
Nominate
articles.
yourself, sweetheart.
so, I mean, this is, if we all chip in, we can achieve all of these goals, because honestly, like some of these will be done, like this one will be done by April. Done. And then this is sort of simple, is writing the content for the social media. I mean, that is something the township has asked us to do to help beef up their, and this is a way for us to increase public awareness.
So I can say this, I am not comfortable with doing this because this is something that has to be done twice a month. I don't have that kind of time. But I can write a letter out for the residents to circulate and do that once and hand out.
So what I'm hearing is that you're taking, that you are buying in on doing objective one, so I'm putting Tom,
In January.
yes, beginning in January, Tom will begin, and then either
I'm
We-
getting anxiety already. What are you committing me to here?
I'm totally committing you to this.
Yeah, so we,
And John would help him write it,
yeah,
Okay, all right, so
because
Tom,
I'm leaving.
I see, that's just it. See, this is why I kind of like you with the social media thing, because you can do that from Arizona.
Okay, I'll do the social media.
Yeah.
And then
As long as you call me up and nag me.
I am not gonna nag you. You're an adult. You can take care of yourself. I have to nag my husband. I'm not gonna, and my dog and all the
You're
other,
only-
no.
I firmly believe you're only young once, but you can be mature forever.
Oh my God, that is true. All right. So look, what I can do is I'll revise this objective. I'm gonna break it down into 1A and 1B, is one for one for a park, the other for residents, because I think we can do two things at once. No, I think we can multitask here, folks, if we all pitch in. What do you want to do, Rob? You sound really quiet over there.
I
I
mean, I'll inventory trees. I mean, I can do that.
What can you
I
do?
mean,
What can you do, John? Or Rob?
inventory trees, probably.
Well, that's what we started with.
Do inventory trees because that's fun and that's what we want to do. How about the not fun stuff?
Like what?
All the rest.
That's why I was saying we pick a couple of things to focus on. I mean, I know you wanted to try and you gotta.
Well, we don't have to achieve all of these. I threw these down there as something to give us some direction and some structure to work for.
Here's what I would tell you. I think you need to do something for Arbor Day.
Yes,
That's your
Yeah, we
goal.
have to do
Obviously,
that.
I think that's a big thing for you.
I will take care of that.
I would argue that your ordinance gives you a requirement that you need to be able to at least come up with something that you're moving towards inventorying trees, because the ordinance actually gives you direction to do that.
Right.
When we started that a couple weeks ago, we just didn't have an iPad. We're gonna do it again once.
We've done it
No,
twice already and we still haven't touched the iPad.
What was
Well, we
the issue with the iPad? Why would?
I took it home with
But-
That other guy, whoever that other guy is,
Took it home.
he took the
the
iPad. home with him.
intern, took the iPad home.
Okay,
And if he's gonna be doing our work, he better be showing up for our meetings.
the,
That's what I'm thinking.
I'm just done. So. I mean, as I look at this, you know. Anything that you do to help us towards MS4 is a great thing. I think the township is going to be taking more of a lead on that, to be honest with you, in that we will. Once the engineer has a chance to get his. And proverbial feet wet, I mean, like, I'm trying to get him up to speed. We have a new township engineer. And so I was trying not to dump everything on him the first day he was here. He's been here now about 2 months. I think he's
Oh, that's
probably.
plenty of time.
It's he's now got his hands around the multiple different things that are going on.
Throw him in front of the bus.
So I've actually given him about 6 projects already, but this will be one more that I add to it. Because MS4 is a big piece and he knows that. And so he's working on part of it right now for me. But the actual tree planting piece, we haven't talked about yet. He's working on he's actually trying to work with me on the stream restoration piece. So if I get that done, that'll be a part of where we'll plant probably, I would think 100 of the trees that we're gonna plant, is gonna be right along that area. So,
Got 150 more to go.
Okay,
well,
Carry 250 a year.
yeah, I know.
That's a lot.
It is a lot.
So if I do the letter for the township. For handouts. I'll go towards MS4, right? Because we're gonna hit, or to mail them out to neighborhoods.
We'll pick an area. I mean, it's gonna be targeted.
Yeah, you target the area, so I'll write the
so
letter.
that's all, because we already had Fox's Run, Goshen Road, and now we're adding Beechwood and Ashley to
I think
that.
what we'll be looking for, let me kind of talk to you what I think the project's gonna look like. So I think what we're gonna look for is, we're gonna need a couple things that's gonna happen. Let's assume that let's say we take an area and we get the chance to plant 40 to 50 trees in an area that we tackle.
Mhm.
I'm guessing we're gonna try to plant those over like a Friday, Saturday type time frame. We are gonna need volunteers to do that, so somebody's gonna need to help enlist volunteers and do those kind of things. We probably would work with
EAC.
EAC and CRC, because they're happy to help us do that. The problem is, if we do it, depending on where we do it in the township, we need to figure out which group we need to ask. CRC is fine if it's this side of 252. If it's on that side of 252, we need to talk to Darby. I forget what their group name is. It's the equivalent to the Crum Creek group, but it's just on the Darby Creek side. And so, but we would look at that. We could, reaching out to the county for the trailer. Because like for those of you who went to the planning, we did out at the Brookside.
Brookside.
We got the county trailer and our team went down and picked it up and all of those kind of things. That's not a problem. But we just have to make sure all those things get done. There's lots of pieces
Right.
that are part of that process. And then we go in, it's a full day, probably a pretty good day on Friday. Usually we start in the afternoon and we go for about 4 or 5 hours, and then we go on Saturday for about 4 or 5 hours planning, and we get done sooner than that, but it's the township staff, it's an investment of about 4 or 5 hours each of those 2 days. Because we come in, we help try to dig holes ahead of time, get all of those things. We'll bring the auger out and do those things and stuff.
Is that something we're allowed to, I'm allowed to go to my employees, say, guys, Saturday, we're volunteering to plant trees?
Sure, absolutely.
Hey, go Rob, you got guys too, right?
What?
You awake?
No, I can't hear what you said.
We can provide employees to help volunteer, not they would, we can offer.
Employees, I have 2.
I may be able to hit some of my guys up.
Yeah.
I have 2 and an excavator. Excavator does most of the work.
I mean, we talked to a group, we ended up having a business that came out on Friday. They volunteered, I forget where they were from right now, but they came out on Friday and they volunteered. I would talk to SAP. I would talk to Bear Health. I would talk to, I would talk to Boron. I mean, some of the community businesses that are headquartered here in Newtown we should be inviting them to participate with us and give them an opportunity and let them, I'm happy to say SAP sponsored and brought volunteers to do this and, those kind of things.
And coming in January is a good time of the year in order to hit those people up, because they're also planning their calendar for the next year as well, or even in December. So, but that's part of this. So whoever, since you volunteered, that would be part of what you would need to coordinate, is making sure those outreach to those other things, because it's getting volunteers. All of this can help with outreach materials. And if you want to write a letter, but it being point on that would mean making sure and doing all that coordination and project management to get that project done. So that means working with EAC or working with the township and doing that, reaching out to those businesses and things like that.
So does that involve me going over to Boron and knocking on the door?
Not necessarily, I mean, it might be simple, phone call, or like I have a contact at Boron, I'd reach out, and say, hey, we're doing this, would your group be interested in participating?
So that's why I was talking, like Carol would go do a dry run at the park, right? So I know the whole process. We're gonna go, who provides it? Do we go get the trees? The town brings the trees.
So we
Carol, you know how it
usually
works. Especially do a dry run on something simple.
yeah, so here's what we usually do. For any tree planting, there are about 3 times a year that there are groups that give away trees. And so we try to, or if they don't give them away, they're purchased at a price that makes sense, The ones we got this time were from the Chesapeake Bay Foundation. That was a easy.
This bigger,
Well, those were pretty small. Those were the smaller of the ones that we've done.
an inch caliber.
Huh?
They're an inch caliber, inch and a quarter.
I don't think they were bigger than that. I don't think, we had a couple out of our nursery that were bigger, but I don't think there was any. that was-
These are small trees.
Those were small trees. Others that we've gotten are probably, I don't know, about like that big around or so.
The ones that we got for Arbor Day, like from Pico.
The ones we got
Yeah,
from
they
Arbor Day,
were pretty.
they were pretty good
They're
size.
pretty nice. They're like 10 footers.
Yeah, we get mixes depending on where we get them from. When we get them from the Pennsylvania Horticultural Society, they tend to be bigger. Or I've gotten them that they were smaller than what we got from the Chesapeake Bay Foundation, We got a bunch of whips the last time. They did not survive. We lost almost all the whips this year. We lost a lot of trees over the summer.
Tough year.
It was a very tough year.
So,
And we were watering regularly, but we just couldn't keep up with it.
so
So going back, I don't have a problem, if you want to do a small project this year, to kind of get, just
I want to talk about these, the people, I don't know what we're doing. Like, we're gonna go plant trees. We're gonna volunteer. You know, I want to I want to be familiar with it, start to finish through the process. So I can clearly and concisely explain to you what to expect,
yeah.
what to bring, how long it should take.
And I can tell you, here's what I will tell you, there are some people who have done this multiple times in the township as a volunteer. Cindy Mahalo has done it multiple times. She could tell you probably very quickly all the steps that would need to take. I mean, she's done it. What we want to do is obviously spread out all the people that are doing it over more groups and do that. EAC kind of took the lead last time for some of this. And again, it doesn't always have to be that big. You know, we planted, was it 70?
60 or 70
60 or 70 trees. We don't have to plant 60 or 70 every time we do it. You know, it may be that we do 3 projects a year of 20 trees at a time. You know, it doesn't, you know, whatever makes sense to do it. There's no expectation that I have that you have to go out and plant 100 trees or 70 trees every time you go. I mean, it doesn't. But what I do know is that when you're pulling resources together, sometimes it's easier if you're going to do it over a 2-day period and you're going to get the trailer anyhow, and we're going to get trees, and I can order 100 trees at a time.
Well, it also depends if we're 3 guys or 10 guys.
Yeah.
But if you have it mapped out, and this is what we want to get done, but we have 3 volunteers, so we get 15 done. But if we have 20 volunteers, maybe we get 60 done.
What I can tell you
Is
is
we have no trouble getting volunteers.
we tend to get volunteers pretty easily.
Yeah.
You know, we put the word out, and there's people that just love coming and doing this stuff. And
So great, so let's start off in a park. So I've never done this.
You take lead on it. Go ahead.
Let's pick a park right now. What park are we doing? Let's go visit it. Let's go look at trees. What we'll do, but to the park.
so let me tell you the process for picking a park. Okay. Let's say you pick a park, and I'm gonna pick a park, and let's say let's pick Newbie Park, only because we've talked about it and it's a
Right.
small park. And so here's what I would say, you go and take a look at it. And then I would probably invite George to go with you, and so that you get somebody from the township with you.
Right.
Then I would put a proposal together, and I would go to the Parks and Rec group and say, we would like to do a tree planting at the park. Here's what we would like to do. Make sure they're on board. And potentially they would join you in the process. You're shaking your head no.
No, I was asking a question. So wouldn't we also invite not only just George, but maybe one of the people from Parks and Rec and
Oh,
say,
sure.
just say, hey, we're doing this, or one of you all available to come meet us
Sure.
out there? We're gonna talk
Absolutely.
about this. So that way we're not wasting our time. If they already say, oh, well, we already have this blah, 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 that we have planned here, and it's gonna
Yeah.
conflict.
Yeah, no, that's
And
right.
then that, instead of us putting a lot of time and energy and writing a proposal and then it getting shot down. So I would rather have that coordination early before we do some sort of.
Yeah,
proposal to them.
I obviously think you need to be communicating with them
Yes.
early.
So we need to bring them in, and also I would also say bring in EAC, because they have ideas.
No,
Two?
no, the more people we bring in, the harder it
Yeah.
is.
No, but Cindy is gonna help with the volunteers and can help, and that's kind of why she's a liaison with our committee. So, I mean, you can invite Cindy as our liaison if you want. I don't care. I'm just saying, it would be good.
Here's what I will say, if you're gonna go into a park, because even though you're responsible for trees and parks, I think it's important that you have a conversation with the parks people along the way, because if they have a plan for the
Right.
park, you don't want to put trees in where they're gonna be planning on putting a playground.
All right,
Like
so-
Rear Park and that
So
kind of.
who am I talking to?
Usually I would say we would go through and talk to Wade, he's the chair of the Parks.
Hey, Steve,
Yes,
to go into a park and just look, I mean, you kind of have to know what trees are available before you start making a plan, don't you? And what size they are and everything before you figure just willy-nilly going in there.
yeah, the only thought I had was like, if you said, if you went to, as a group, and you went over to Newbie Park. And you looked at it, you said, these are 3 areas that talking to them. That are areas that they're not going to do anything recreationally. But we could either stabilize a bank. That, you know, a steep slope, or we could provide some additional trees, but you might determine by looking at the area that, like, because Newbie Park is a park that has a lot of trees already, you might need to pick trees that do well with shade. And you might need, you know, like, that's what I'm saying. And then it becomes, now we go back and start looking at what the next, what we have in the nursery and what the next opportunity is to get trees might determine the trees that we try to get. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, like Newbie Park's gonna be all like understory trees, obviously, because it's so shaded in there.
Yeah.
You're gonna use red buds and whatever will do in shade and stuff like that. You're not gonna put any, I mean, maybe here or there where you might get, you know, an oak here or there or whatever like that. But I mean, it all depends what is available. I mean, you can't make a plan and say, we're gonna plant this here and then that's not available. Or you're gonna have to go out and buy something, which I know we have a budget, but for
Yeah.
a certain amount, you know what I mean?
No, I
Which
mean,
is feasible.
anytime we can use what's being given. Or what
Right,
we can get
obviously.
very cheaply, that's what we try to do.
Not for me. I got enough.
Got enough?
Yes.
All right.
I'll get Wade's
And,
number. I'll call him short.
and here's what I would tell you, if you need help getting through the process. Feel free to reach out to me, we'll talk through the process. But at the same time, that, you know, I can give you direction as to some of the people to talk to and some of the things.
I just need the contact information. I can take it.
Okay,
Okay, so it's 8:00. Do you, so,
I'm okay, let me just say, from my perspective, I think these are 3 good or 3 goals with 5 objectives. I think they're not over the top in regards to, you know, if you were to work on these, you haven't committed to anything, like if you do one of these and then you figure out an Arbor Day event. I will say this, because the next thing down on your agenda talks about the newsletter.
Yeah.
Here's what I would tell you. February. So the newsletter article that is due, I think, December 12th, will be in the newsletter on February, the first week of February. The next newsletter is not until probably the first week in May, which would be after Arbor Day.
we need to get it into the.
So
February.
if you want, here's what I'm telling some of the groups, because all the groups are going, oh my gosh, we're not really planning that far ahead. So here's my thing. Let's say related to Arbor Day, you know you're gonna do an event, you don't know exactly what you wanna do,
Mhm.
but you know you wanna do something. If you could narrow it down that we wanna do something in a park, or you wanna do something wherever. And, you know, maybe you do something here, and maybe you make it all educational, or I don't know. I'm just saying, whatever you think you want to do. If between now and December, you can figure that out before the article's
All right.
doing. What my recommendation would be is that we would write the article in such a way that says, click this QR code to see all the details. And that gives us till February to get all the details done but we would
Okay.
tie the QR code to a web page on a page on our website. And Steve, Bradley can help you do that. That's what he's
Yes.
become really good at that. So what I'm telling people is really use it as a chance to build excitement about it, not necessarily worry about the details.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
yes.
And so,
Like, keep tuned, we're gonna do something really cool on Arbor Day.
Yeah.
Click this code and
Code.
find out more.
find out what it is, and without you having, because sitting in December, trying to say what you're gonna do in April is really tough. Right?
I don't even know what I'm doing in December.
Right, so that's all I'm saying.
Okay. Well, all right, so I will take point on Arbor Day. I'll also commit to having something by the 12th, because it doesn't need to be long, it's just a paragraph, like, look, the
Right.
shade tree is gonna do this, da, 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 it's gonna be fun, it'll be educational, learn about this, that.
That can be a blurb. I think there ought to be something a little more substantial. I want to do something more substantial.
Do you wanna do it? Then you.
No, I think you could do two things in that
Two
same,
things. You could, I want to do something about, our trees, about
Yeah.
the trees in our list that
Okay,
people don't
so
even
wait,
know.
we've already skipped ahead to the next agenda item without closing this agenda item.
I just wanted to
Right.
give you enough to understand
Right,
anything here that you feel like you need. Think about February, May is when the next one will probably be in people's boxes.
Which means that would be due sometime in March.
okay,
August will be the next group. And
So
then
it's 2
I think
months
we
ahead?
I think it's every 3 months. Just think about it, but we gotta remember, it's
And then
2 months
November.
prior is when the article is due.
Yeah.
So
Right.
when you think about when you want, like, if you wanna do something in a park and you really want it in the newsletter,
mm-hmm,
if you're thinking you're gonna do something in the fall of next year,
right,
think about this, our fall newsletter, the one that just came out, didn't come out until last week, I think it was in your boxes.
right,
So it's roughly about the same time frame next year. If you want to plan something for
Yes.
November, that's fine. If you want to plan something for October, then you need to have it in the August edition.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
yep,
So I'm just trying to help
Yep.
everybody kind of understand timing. And Steve's gonna put together a timing sheet for that and get it out to everybody so they understand.
oh, that's good,
Yeah.
okay, so, all
Sorry
right,
about that.
no, that's okay, no,
But I
that's
just-
good.
When you're trying to do your
No, I
goals,
know, yeah, so. I mean. What we could do, how about? What I would really like is to have. Everybody's input on this. I mean, I think I kind of heard from you guys. I've heard some volunteering. And I can rework these to make it a little more clear. And then we can figure out, do we want to wait until the December meeting to nail this down? Because I think we have enough to sort of start, because you're gonna start rolling on some things.
I'm rolling on letters.
Right, you're
I'm gonna
rolling,
roll on George and wait. It starts.
right, and
And
so,
I'll update you guys.
right, and then
I'm
so
right,
if
And I'm
we're,
writing.
and she's gonna write that, are you gonna write the social media stuff? Are you good
Sure.
with Facebook and all that?
No, I don't do. I'm not
well,
even
all
on
I
that.
need from you, or just here's what you think about. You don't have to do social media, but you have to think about. The thing about social media that you want to do is social media. I don't know enough about it, to be honest with you, but what I understand from people who read social media, they don't read. Right?
No.
They read this. So it's, when you think about it, it's quick snippets that give out information. And it may be, that as Tom plans the thing in the park, you might do 3 different releases for social media over the next month while we're, when you get ready for a date. And then you might do something else where you're saying, do you know that you need a permit to put to plant a shade tree in your front yard? Do you know you need a permit to take one down in your front yard? It could be little things like that. So one of it could be educational. The other could be
And this is the new
The
township?
Newtown Square community, is that the page?
No, it's, if you type in, Newtown Township, but I gotta tell you, I'm terrible because I'm not
I've
on
got
Facebook.
Valley View Estates and I've got Newtown Square Community. Those are the only two I have.
I will help you a little with that.
No, I just need to.
But you know what, you know what, I found, so when I was planning for Arbor Day, I joined the Arbor Day Foundation. And their website has fantastic information that you could pull from just to do like little snippets on education about the value of trees.
Yeah, they call that plagiarizing.
Actually, it's not when it's on social media like that, as long as it isn't like, and you can cite to them and say, hey, according to this website, all you need to do is cite
Yeah,
it.
no, I'm good with it, but I
I'm
would
just
like to
saying.
know what the website I'm writing for.
It's called.
It-
Yeah.
It's the Newtown Township Facebook page.
Newtown,
I'm just not a Facebook user.
I'm
If
not
you-
either.
I have,
If
but
you
I
have
never
any
heard-
questions, here's what I would say, reach out to Steve Bradley. Actually, I think Rose is doing some of this too, isn't she, for us?
She's what?
I think Rose is doing some of our Facebook page postings.
Oh, is she? I don't know. I'm not on Facebook, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. Somebody who's smarter than me does Facebook.
Oh, okay.
I'm called a stalker. I have an account and every once in a while we'll see
So
somebody
like they're
posted
talking
to
about,
my account.
hey, here's your trash, here's the.
Okay. How many users do we have on that?
That's
I don't know. I think there's about 1,000 plus right now.
Okay.
1.5 thousand follower.
Hours?
Yeah, so that means we have 1,500 followers right now.
Newtown Township, Delaware Government Organization.
Newtown
Yes.
Township, Delaware County.
Yes, it's this one. Right?
Yep, that's it.
I haven't gotten that far yet. I just got to this bit.
Just
So-
search Newtown
Yeah, yeah,
Township, Delaware.
So this is it.
That's it.
Yeah,
Oh, and
and
this
so
comes up-
there's, yeah, and
We're
look, and there's
closed.
Steve.
Why are we still here?
There's Steve Bradley, he's the guy to talk to about content and stuff like that. He'll give you some really good advice on what content.
I write stuff and send it to Steve and he
Yeah.
puts it on.
And I'll tell you what,
1.5 thousand
and what really goes well, and then one thing to keep in mind is when we're doing these events, like we're doing these plantings, take little videos and make that a big social, we can make a big post about what we did that day. And I can help you with that. But, so what I can do is edit this, and then if I send it to you all before next month, would you please review it and edit it and get it back to me to make sure that I captured what I want, what we want to do. And again, these are just our goals. It doesn't mean we have to do all of these, and it doesn't mean we will get all of it done, but I think it's a good goal. And I don't think it's too.
Goal B is, we've already started that, I think that's easy.
Not really, because we're still gonna, so I.
We haven't touched a tree yet.
No,
Well,
so-
no, we're gonna
but-
do another
So
meeting.
I'm volunteering you, Rob, you're gonna be the point of contact for conducting the tree inventory.
Sure.
All right. And then
I'm
I
gonna be
have,
pushing that, 'cause I
right.
said the last meeting, so I won't-
oh,
you got it.
well, if you wanna do it,
No, no,
if
no,
you
no,
wanna
no.
share, you can help. All right, so look, I'll put Rob. So I'm gonna work on Arbor Day. Carol's gonna have the articles. John's gonna have the social media. Under B, we've got Rob and Tom for the inventory. For goal C, we're gonna break down objective 1 and break it into 2 parts. One for at a park, we'll start with that, and then we'll start on maybe doing residents. And then objective 2, unless Carol, do you want to be the liaison with EAC? I'm happy
Oh,
to,
no.
I'll coordinate. I'll be happy to coordinate with our other committees to make sure we're all on the same.
Not yet,
same
we'll work
page.
on that together.
Okay, so Trish and Carol.
Sorry.
Okay, so anyhow,
Is it?
there will be. Okay, so anyway, moving on. All right, so does that sound good? So we'll carry this on and we'll finalize this at our December meeting, but I need a commitment from y'all to comment on this and make sure you're cool
I
with it.
got mine
Okay.
because I'm in.
Hey, whoa. All right, so moving on. All right, newsletter. I want to go watch the football game. All right, newsletter. So go ahead, Carol. Huh? The Thursday night football.
Oh,
game.
Thursday, okay.
I motion.
You gotta put it, are we done with the articles? Because you said you wanted to discuss the article, or was that Steve's, and we just did that because it was about timing?
I think it was good, we're good.
All right, okay, good. Do we have any commission comments? No? Items for next agenda, we're gonna focus on the 2023 goals. Right? Is there anything, and then whatever else we have to approve? Yep.
Yes.
Okay,
Public comment.
we have nobody from the public, and, so I think we can adjourn. Is that good? All right.
Yeah. Somebody bring me that next time.
Oh my God, I got a headache. All right.
All right, we're all good.
I found my ordinance. I'm
Sorry, I can't get my mouse.
Your batteries. Stop.
No, it's where I'm sitting.
Too close.
I'm too far away.
Far away.
The computer's back at this side of
Oh,
the
it's
room.
back there.
And the problem is the screen's up there and my eyesight's not good enough that when I sit up there.
Hey, you're gonna try to print out a copy of that map, right? Parts.
Let me, yeah, I can go
Not
back.
today, but you know.
Yeah, I can get somebody to print you a copy.
that'd be great.
We'll take a
So-
picture of that one.
So this is actually.
All right, Rob,
before,
thank
so
you.
All right,
that takes you right
Yeah,
to the
enjoy your
ordinance.
time away.
oh yeah. See ya.
All right,
Bye.
bye-bye.
We're
So
done,
this
right?
is
I'm
just
out.
sort of like the little outreachy thing.